We're going to be opening up the 2-pack-trek database. So I could find my folders and files easier. I put them all into a CIT 170 folder. So I'm going to open that. And the file we need is in the Access Level 1 Chapter 2 folder. And that is abbreviated AL1C2. So I'm going to double click and open that. And pack-trek is what we need to open. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on it. And when you first come in, you do need to enable the content, or you aren't going to be able to make any changes. And then we're going to open up the product table. So to open up this table, you just double click. It opens up in Datasheet view. And what we're going to be doing is going to a little different view. It's called Design View. Datasheet view is great for entering records. And in the previous chapter, you actually used this view to enter fields. We're going to switch and look at the table using Design View. So I'm going to click right on the View button here. And as you can see, Design View looks a little bit different. You do not see any records in this view. This view is only for modifying and managing fields. So we have a column for field name. In the middle, it tells us what the data type is. And then if there is a description, you will see that in the third column. For whatever field you select, at the bottom, you are looking at field properties. So you'll notice that field size is here. If you remember when we went into name and caption, how we entered captions, well, you can enter captions right here. You can also specify default values by typing them directly into this text box. Okay? And there's many other features for each field that you can modify in this field properties section. One other thing I want to point out is that next to one of your fields in the top section, you will see a key indicating that that field is the primary key. And you will see the button for that. And clicking that button actually turns on or off the field. So you can turn it on, you can turn it off. Okay? But Access does require that one of your fields is specified as a key. Now they want us to return to Datasheet view, and I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And then they want us to close this table. And we're going to take a look at suppliers, so we're going to double click on that one. And they also want us to take a look at Design View here as well. And by looking at Design View, it just gives you a little better idea of how the fields in that table are defined and set up. Okay, so here we can actually, I'm using the down arrow to take a look at the different fields, and you'll notice that for all of these short text fields, the field size has been modified, and that is a pretty standard thing to do. You typically make your field size big enough to hold the largest piece of data. So I'm just kind of looking through here. And if you look through the fields using your arrow keys like I am, you can just kind of take note of what the size is, you know, whether there's a caption or not, whether there's a default value or not. Okay, that's valuable information to know. So after looking at this, we are going to go back to Datasheet view. And to be honest, I only use Datasheet view to enter records. If I want to add or change fields, I always use Design View. So at this point, we're going to close out of suppliers, and they want us to take a look at our orders table. Okay, so this should look kind of familiar to you because you've seen a similar table. I'm going to go over to Design View. And for this one, it does not look like we have a primary key defined. And Access tends to dislike it when you omit the primary key. So in Design View, with the order ID selected, you can actually point in the little box next to it and click to make sure it's selected. You are going to click on primary key to turn that on. And then we're going to go ahead and save it. And then we're going to go back over to Datasheet View. Now, the other little adjustment they would like us to make is to move order date. I'm going to select that. And to select it, I just basically point at the field name and click. And you'll notice that I'm still pointing at the field name because I want to move the column. So I'm going to point at that field name, and I'm going to left drag, and you're going to see a heavy black line move with the mouse. And when the black line is between order ID and product ID, you can release, and it will move that field. And typically, the order that you put fields into a table matches the order that's on the data entry form that the user is keying from. Okay, so you want them to be able to key the data in as quickly as possible, and that's going to kind of dictate the order that you would put fields in. So we're going to go ahead and save our changes, and then I'm going to right-click and close.